Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our We Are Having a Baby page. It's been so long, I've even lost count of how many months it's been since we connected. And so we were getting better, we were planning new and better things to bring to you, and we hope this season of the conversation of our interaction would even be more better than the previous ones that we had. So once again, you are very welcome. And if you are new here, let me just introduce myself. My name is Angela Joa Frimpong. I'm a resident of obstetrician gynecologist with the Yahoo Medical Center. And this is what we call We Are Having a Baby. So it's our community to interact, to share ideas about our pregnancy journey, our early childbirth journey, our challenges with even getting pregnant. So if you haven't connected with us before, go back and look at our previous videos. Watch. If you have questions, just post them. We'll try as much as possible to get back to you and answer them. But like I said, it's a new season, and so we have new things for you. Last season, we ended on how our dental health affects our pregnancy journey. And this season, we are starting off with how our partners, our husbands, our boyfriends, our better halves, our our daddies, our big men help us during this journey, during this whole journey. Pregnancy is really and it takes two to tango thing. But once the baby comes in, then it looks like you are left alone to be vomiting, to be having the nausea, to be getting bigger and sometimes uglier, to have all the stretch marks and all the other unsavory things. And then the men only comes in. The most annoying, it's not really annoying, it's when the baby comes out and it looks like daddy. How? So we just want to see how along this journey, how our men have been supporting us. What have they been doing? Is it enough? Can they do more? And look at other ways that they can support us. We are going to talk to two fathers who have been through the journey, and one is a medical doctor, so you add a bit of medical aspect to it, and one is a very, very hands-on daddy. So they are going to tell us what they did and what they wish they would have done but they didn't do, so that you don't go make the same mistakes that they did. So today I have with me Dr. Nathan Kwabla. He's a GP with Nyaho. Actually, he's a resident, a family medicine resident with Nyaho Medical Center. And we have Mr. Samuel Arthur, who is also culture and change manager with Yahoo Medical Center as well, and they are both fathers. That's the most important thing. So they've been through this journey. So they are going to talk to us about their experiences. So if we would say hello Nathan, hello Samuel.
Hello everyone. Hello Angela.
Yeah, hi. It's so nice to have you on season 2 of our We Are Having a Baby chat. I'm actually very chuffed to have you guys on.
It's great to be here too.
Great.
Yeah, it's great to be here as well, Angela.
Good. So I know you guys have been through the journey with your respective partners. So just share with us how it was. So Mr. Arthur, how was it for you? How were you involved in that whole process when your wife got pregnant? How was it like for you?
Thank you very much, Angela. And I would say it was one that really was full of mixed feelings, and I think for us it came also with some form of excitement as well, because it was about 2 years into our marriage when the pregnancy actually came in. Part of what made it exciting really was the fact that she had actually gotten pregnant initially, but there was a miscarriage at the very early stages of the pregnancy. And so once it came back the second time, it was one that was full of mixed feelings, one that really was exciting knowing that, hey, it's happened again. And two, which really brought up the need to really be cautious and really understand what really happened in the first instance as to why that was lost, and what could be done the second time and what support really can be provided to really make this one get sustained. So for me, it was really one that was full of mixed feelings. For me. And at least fortunately, since then, we've gotten two beautiful boys out of there. So it's been really exciting for me.
Boys rock. Yeah, I love boys. I have three of my own. And Mr. Arthur really brought something to the fore about early pregnancy losses. And it will amaze you how many women actually go through this. In fact, it's estimated that about 50% of all pregnancies get miscarried in the first trimester. So it's quite a common problem. And we as Ghanaians, as Africans, we tend not to talk about this so much. But I think it's time we demystify this. And in this season, one of our chats will be on early pregnancy losses, so that we demystify it and people know they can have support. People can know that because it's happened once, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again and again and again. That's the fear most women have. Some tend to ask themselves, am I even fit to carry a pregnancy? So we'll talk about that. But thank you, Mr. Arthur, for being so personal and sharing your experience with us. Nathan, can you also share with us how it was like for you?
All right. Thanks for the opportunity. So for me, it was a very interesting journey. The reason being that first of all, and I'm just taking from another angle. I mean, so I'm a medical doctor, and you get to see pregnant women every now and then. Most of the time, you see them in the clinic for a couple of minutes, or in a hospital bed, also for a couple of minutes. But this time around, I mean, this is my partner, my wife, pregnant. You're with her hours and days for the whole period. And for me, even though I was a medical doctor, I'm a medical doctor, and then you know what things could happen during a pregnancy. Like actually going through with her was very eye-opening. Like you're like, whoa, this is how tired it can get. This is how stressful it can be. This is these are some of the difficulties they face, and that was a journey that I don't know if I could have had it any other way, or I could have had it any other way, and then also to be able to get to that point, to be able to be more empathetic, especially meeting pregnant women after I'd experienced that. So it was eye-opening. It was a nice, wonderful experience. Even though there were some tough times here and there, I think all in all it was a really wonderful experience, through it, getting to just experience all the changing periods of pregnancy.
Journey. And so I pick that having been through your own journey with your wife, it makes you more empathetic to other pregnant women you meet along the journey in your career. And I've also personally because there are so many things that my clients come to me with that I've been through personally. So it makes me look at it with a different eye than as opposed to having learned it from the textbook and now explaining it to them. I think that's one really great advantage I take as being an obstetrician gynecologist who is actually a female and have had children and have had some of the problems that my clients. I've had pregnancy losses, I've had diabetes, I've had hypertensive disorders in my pregnancies, I've had cesarean section, I've had natural delivery. So basically, there's hardly much you are going to come at me with that I haven't been there and I can support you with. So I think it's really important. It makes us more supportive, if maybe even more human, because we've been there and we know. So Nathan, tell me, how important do you think then a partner's support is in pregnancy for the journey?
Extremely important. I can't say the difference I think it brings to your partner, and then also for them, for your relationship, whether it be marriage or whatever stage you are at. But it really helps for your partner to know that there's somebody to work with them through this, through that process, because it's a long journey. 40 weeks, 9 months, it's quite a long period. And once your partner is able to, has that assurance, or that you are always there to help out, then it sort of sheds a bit of that load. And I say a bit because we are not even able to carry, carry pregnancies to even experience some of what they go through. But then just being there, you know that, it helps your partner know that there's someone that they can, hold on to, someone that can help them walk through, this challenge, or, the different problems that may come up, someone they can pray with, someone they can call, and who can even understand, some of their different changing, emotions as they go through the journey. So it's extremely important for a partner to be around, and you appreciate the strength of, a woman at the end of it all. That's one phase, and then even bringing up a child, that's also something else. Or that even adds up to appreciating the strength of a woman even more. So yeah, it's, for me, it's very important. Not sure if Angela is still there, but Angela, please, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I can hear you, Nathan.
Great.
Okay, great.
I hope you caught my submission there.
I did. I got everything. So we as women also really appreciate it. I'm happy that you agree that a partner support is really important in this journey. And I just wanted to say that we as women also really appreciate it. And then I wanted to pick Mr. Arthur's mind. Samuel, I wanted to ask you, Nathan mentioned that it helps to strengthen your relationship. Is that something that you realized during this support that you gave to your wife, that did it help to strengthen the relationship that you have with her?
Yes, it did. Because what happens is you would realize that pregnancy brings out sometimes certain aspects of your partner that you probably would never have known had it not been for pregnancy. So in as much as you have your partner stay with you, you probably would have been together for a while, courted and gone through different kinds of things. I believe that getting to really know yourselves continues while you're still in the relationship or the marriage. And different events in the marriage really unearth different things about both partners. So for me, for instance, I was able to get to be able to know, okay, at that point in time, my wife was probably lactose intolerant, because then what was happening was that while she was pregnant, there were certain things that happened. Then it brought it up to said, okay, so those are some of the things that even if you're looking at medically, you get to know as you're going through the stage. Also, the other thing is it also helps you to be able to even know the emotional not constraints, but the emotional ups and downs, what really triggers what, and different aspects as far as the pregnancy process is concerned. And for me as a partner, it really also did test that bit around patience, that bit around tolerance, the bit around service. And so these are things that I believe strengthens every relationship. For me, one of the beauty of it, which I did realize, was that each pregnancy, for me, I found very unique. So I mentioned I have two boys, and each pregnancy came with its unique experiences. And I realized that the level of relationship when it came to each pregnancy was actually different. So, for instance, what happened was when my wife was pregnant with the first baby, for instance, worked in Accra, and my wife, she was then doing her second degree, so she was in Kumasi and was working in Kumasi as well. And so throughout the pregnancy for the first child, she was in Kumasi, and I had to be going to Kumasi every weekend. So Friday after close of work, I just jet off from Accra to Kumasi. And I realized that there was the need for that commitment, which really was valuable in the sense that she knew that, you know what, he is there for me throughout the process, and it's not just somewhere in Accra while she's having to go through all of this alone. And as much as possible, it also did bring about the understanding from her in terms of even getting to know what was going into having to even travel every weekend to go to Kumasi just to be sure she's fine and all of that. And fast forward, the second pregnancy, now it happened when she was in Accra and I was in Accra myself. So casting my mind back to these two different events, I realized that what really happened while we stayed apart in managing this pregnancy really taught us a lot of things in terms of how we needed to improve on our communication, how we needed to really be conscious of the fact that at any point in time, you need to be alert to expect something. And then the second one just taught me how really you could closely get to be able to relate to your wife while she's very close. So for me, it really was great. And beyond pregnancy, it's really taught me several things that at least now, I think since we had the second, it's almost about 4 years now, but post those two events, there are times I've had to travel. It's taught us how to manage the relationship. It's even taught me how to manage the relationship even when we are still together. And so I believe that aside the fact that there are different transformations when a woman gets pregnant, there are really lots of lessons and lots of impact that really can be drawn out of the different experiences. But the truth of the matter is that it really is based on the lens through which you're looking at these things, rather than just seeing it as just a mere occurrence or a mere coincidence of an event. And so, yes, I do agree with Nathan that pregnancy really does strengthen the relationship between the partners.
Made some very good and important points. So you talk about discovering new things about your partner, and I mean, it's during the pregnancy that if you are very close to your partner, you probably now discover your wife can actually eat funny things like maybe konkonte and pepper, where before you probably wouldn't have thought a human being can ever eat something like that. I mean, people come up with all sorts of weird cravings during pregnancy. I mean, then you realize that somebody can actually wake up at 2 a.m. and be wanting to eat fufu at 2 a.m. And these are all things, new things that you will learn. You will realize that women pass a lot of gas when they are pregnant. So if you are somebody who don't like people passing gas, then you are better off not getting your wife pregnant, because pregnancy and passing gas is like, so it can strengthen your relationship, yeah, but it can also make or break it. So yeah, you discover new things about your partner for sure. And then you also said that each pregnancy is a different experience, and that was so critical that you brought that out. And because I realized when I sit in the consulting room, I realized that a lot of men are very excited about the first baby. And you see, invariably, if it's a first baby, you see almost every woman coming with a partner. But when it comes to the second baby, and then the coming to the clinic will be sporadic. Maybe every other visit, the partner will come. As for the third baby, there, forget it. You won't even see the partner. So if you are lucky, maybe you see the partner in the delivery room, but maybe even then not. But it's natural, because I read something in some place that when you have a first baby, this is for the women, you take such good care of them. If you give the baby a dummy, a pacifier, and it drops, you probably throw that pacifier away and buy a new one. And then when the second baby comes, and because now you are so used to it, if the baby drops the pacifier, you pick it, put it in your own mouth, clean it a bit, and stick it back into the baby's mouth. When the third baby comes and they drop the pacifier, you just pick it up from the floor, stick it in their mouth like that. So we kind of experience these things with our partners during the pregnancy journey. And I try to tell the partners who do make it to my clinic that try and be give the same support you give for the first baby as you give for subsequent babies, because Mr. Arthur said every pregnancy is kind of different, so don't think you've seen it all. Maybe for the first pregnancy, madam liked ice blocks, only ice blocks, that's the only thing she would chop and put in her mouth. For the second pregnancy, she will probably absolutely hate ice blocks. So don't think it's the same, it's different. And it's not her. The pregnancy is coming with different hormones. So good point. And then I really, really like the point you make about traveling to Kumasi every day. I mean, every weekend. I mean, it just melted my heart. Looking at the risk on the Accra Kumasi road for you to make it every weekend. I mean, I'm sure your wife really just appreciated the quantum, but I would have actually been happy if that would have been the second pregnancy, and I would have seen whether you would have done that journey every weekend as well. Maybe if she was still in Kumasi, this journey would have been once a month now. But I'm sure, I trust someone, I'm sure you would have done that. So thank you for sharing. It was really, really great, and we got a lot of things. So now, Nathan, practically, I want you to tell us some of the practical things you actually did for your wife during this time when she got pregnant. Was she somebody who was like having a difficult first trimester, or her first trimesters were okay? And practically, what were some of the things that you did to help her?
All right. Her first trimester, it wasn't as tumultuous as, I mean, some would have it. I mean, she did have a few off periods, but it was, I mean, the whole pregnancy was like punctuated with moments of brief illness. And, there were points where, I mean, she would be very, I mean, tired and weak, and, days that she couldn't do much. So for us, what I did practically, from the very onset, yes, you are there from the beginning. You are there with conception and all. So you definitely have to see through the whole process. For us, every morning was like a way to like reaffirm, I mean, and set ourselves on a positive, plane for the day. So we had a song. I think a lot of couples have this. We had a song that we would play every morning. That we are Christians, so we had a song that would play and would just set the mood and put us like on the in the way that we are expecting the day to go well. So consistently we'll play this song. I mean, we've screeched the song so much, I'm sure it's made a lot of money for the artists. I think that was important because music is something that helps a lot, but then it also helps with your spirituality. It helps to calm your moods at different times. So, and I was making sure that I always did that every morning. I also like music a lot, so it helped both ways. Definitely, I was definitely making it to every antenatal visit. I wanted to make sure that I was there. There was only one that I think I nearly missed, or I was very late for, but I made sure I accompanied her, try to at least get like an hour off work or go during my lunch break, and I accompany her and take her, and then get her back. Sometimes I'll bring her back to work with me after the antenatal visit, and then by the time I close, we all go back together. But at home, I had to restrict a lot of what she would do, and then step in to do some of those activities. So when it had to come to, doing of chores and making sure that there's food available. I can't say I'm a good cook, but we'll make sure that there's food available for all of us to eat. Those were some of the things. There were points where I was it got to a point where I was very worried about her being alone because we had this fainting spell, and from that point I was like, no, there's no way I can allow her to be alone. So I made sure that at every single point there was someone that could reach her, or she was with someone, even if I'm at work and she's at home, or we have some activity or ceremonies to do on the weekends. We always had to make sure that she was covered, in that way. So those were some of the things that we had to put in place. We took those decisions together. Right down to the morning of, I think it even started like the midnight before my son was born. The night before, she started having some lower abdominal pain, and then somewhere about 4 a.m. she said, like, the pain was getting worse, and I was like, oh. This is probably, contractions and labor is starting. So yes, it goes without saying, but I think it's important that I took her to the hospital. I was there throughout the labor, from first stage to pushing out the baby, and being even the first person to change the baby's nappies. That was what I wanted to do. I say this, and a lot of people might think, this goes without saying, but I happen to be out of the region, out of Accra right now. And I just finished an obstetric and gynecology rotation. And a lot of women would come, especially when they're in labor, they come in either by themselves, or they come in with like somebody, a sister or a mother. And when you ask about their husband, they're like, oh, he's at home, or he has traveled, or it's like the husband is always, there's an excuse given for the husband or the partner, but it's important that they are there throughout the whole process, from planting the seed to reaping the fruits. And so these were some of the things that I did throughout the journey to make sure I was present, and to make sure that there was help, and give us a successful story in the end. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. I've put down a few points, but I also want to hear from Samuel before I talk about all your points together. So, Samuel, apart from the first child traveling every weekend to Kumasi, which was really something practical that you could do, what were some of the other ways that you supported your wife? And just to add in this, was there ever a discussion between you and her that she said, this is what I want you to be doing for me, or you were kind of doing it instinctively or intuitively, the sort of things that you did for her?
Yeah, thank you, Angela. So I would say, well, for the most part, I had really the mindset that, at least just like Nathan had mentioned, you're responsible for planting the seed. And so it's a journey that you must really go through the whole process with her. So yes, there were times we had some conversations with regards to that. And there were times that I really just had to do it out of my own volition. And because I could remember there were times she could say, you know what, because usually I would leave, I could sometimes get to Kumasi late, around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and there were times where she was concerned, but I was like, you know what, I needed to be there just to be sure that you're fine, everything is okay, so that at least she feels that support. And so beyond the first pregnancy, for me, the other thing that happened was, yes, we probably had planned that, okay, after the first baby, we had a number of years we wanted to wait before the second baby came, but somehow the second boy said that, you know what, you can't force me to wait. And so he came in quite earlier than we anticipated. And so between the two boys, we have it's about a year and 3 months. And so sometimes people see them as twins because they do everything together. and so on. So for me, the second pregnancy really was also crucial because one, you had still a toddler, and then there's a second pregnancy that's coming in. And for me, that was the first highlight in trying to really understand that, you know what, that is the first you need to consider so that you really do not have too much pressure on my wife. And so that was the first. I remember the second one, after her first pregnancy as well. She was diagnosed with postpartum. I think she had developed hypertension right after the first pregnancy. So her blood pressure readings were really high, and so that was another thing that we needed to manage during the second pregnancy, because she had already developed that right after the first pregnancy. And so for me, for instance, going into the second pregnancy, there were quite a lot of things at stake for me. You have a toddler child who is also quite young, about 1 year and 3 months old. It's about what's the support. And I wouldn't say fortunately or unfortunately, her mom is a principal physician assistant somewhere in the Western region. My mom is out of the country. And so we didn't really have that support system where you could fall on maybe this one's mom coming, that one's mom coming. And so it was really about jumping in to really save or to salvage the situation at hand. So it went into one, helping to manage with the first child in terms of how to really take care of certain things, like Nathan mentioned, taking care of the diapers here, feeding, bathing certain times. And I know it's also usually not something that many women want to identify with. And so I remember my wife didn't just want to accept it after the first pregnancy when she was diagnosed with having, I've forgotten what that word is, postpartum something, but it's hypertensiveness after pregnancy. So at different points in time, she didn't want to take her medication. And so you now have to turn into either a station officer in the home just to make sure, have you taken your drugs, try to explain why this needs to be taken, try to encourage that, you know what, yes, you don't have it, the readings are saying other things. And it even went into trying to even get her into things that would try to manage those readings. We had to now regularly check the blood pressure readings at home. You need that to sit her down, calm her nerves down, try to make sure that the readings are quite low, and all of that. And so for me, these are some of the things that really happened. And I know that from the first pregnancy, one of the things that I had to be doing, especially when I was far away in Accra and she was in Kumasi, was usually when I did go to Kumasi, I would take it upon myself to say that, okay, you know what, you stay home, let me just go do the groceries, let me go to the market, let me go and do things. So that continued. And interestingly, that's continued till now. And sometimes when I say it, it's funny, but I've gotten to really know great market women. Sometimes they fight over you in the markets for you to buy their stuff and so on and so forth. And there are things that I did passionately that has really stuck with me now. And I feel that if you really have that opportunity to support, it really is something that you need to jump on there. There are certain times you might feel that you may not have the skills or the competencies for, but there are things you can really learn to do. And I think that's something that it's important for everybody to understand. So Angela, these are some of the few things I would say for me, I practically did. I may not be able to call out everything, but I think these are some specific ones that really I can talk about now.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, I'm just smiling and nodding along as I'm listening to you guys. It's really great. Nathan talked about how women get tired and they are sometimes weak. Yes, pregnancy is a physiological condition. Almost every woman goes through it, but every woman kind of goes through it differently. Some people actually really get sick during this time, and some people just sail through. seemingly. But even the people who sail through, they can have their moments of tiredness. So I think it's really good if the partners are able to identify just when their women just are too tired to make it. I think one thing about Ghanaian women I'm beginning to realize is that we think we are superwomen. We can do everything. And we also think the more you do everything, the more it shows that you are a good woman. So we will try and do everything by ourselves. The house, we will take care of it by ourselves. Having a house help is like, if you have a house help, then you are not really a good woman, because you are having somebody to help you with what your mother and your grandmothers were able to. But times are changing. Women are doing really as much as work at the workplace as the men are doing, and we also have to take care of the women. So I think it's good when you yourself know. So this is where the discussion comes in. When you yourself know you've reached a point where you really cannot go on anymore, and it will be good to just alert your partner, take some of this for me, I can't do it. Let's not try to be super women. And practically, so sometimes women have aches and pains. Sometimes it would be nice if you guys give the rub and the massages. I'm sure you did it and you probably forgot to mention it. You know, sometimes the pregnant women will wake up late in the night screaming in pain from those leg cramps. So those massages are helpful during those times. Yeah, I know you are nodding your head, Nathan. Yes, those leg cramps, really, really terrible. But the massages before the leg cramps comes on, if sometimes if massaging is not your talent, you just can't do it, then it's nice to just buy a gift voucher for a spa somewhere and let somebody do the work that you cannot do for you. We really, really appreciate it when you do. So these are practical things really as a partner you can do. If your hands cannot do the magic, your money can do the magic. So let it flow. And then I like that part, Nathan, where you talked about playing music, and it wasn't only for you and your wife, it's also for the baby as well, because studies have shown that babies who are played music whilst they are in utero, whilst they are in the womb, kind of tend to develop to have more higher IQs than babies. So music is really important. It's good if the father has a good singing voice and is able to sing to the baby, so that the baby can also recognize your voice even whilst you are in the womb. Please, if you do not have a good singing voice, please, I'm begging you, do not go and sing to the baby. The baby will just tune you out and make you come out, not ever wanting to hear your voice ever again. If you don't have a good singing voice, you could read to the baby so that the baby will get to know your voice. The mother's voice, the baby always hears, but it's also good for the baby to also hear the father's voice and also recognize it when they come out of the womb. And somewhere when you talked about going to the market, I was so excited. And then the market women know you. I remember I went to the market 2 weekends ago on Sundays. I usually do my shopping on Sundays. And I was standing there, I was buying cocoa. And this woman told me 3 fingers of plant cocoa is 10 cedis. I didn't talk because I know times are hard. And so I took my 3 fingers for 10 cedis. Then this dude came by and I was standing there, I hadn't left. I think I was chatting with somebody selling pear. And she sold 4 fingers to the dude for 10 cedis. Same finger, same size as me. So I was like, I mean, well, this woman is my friend, though. I'm her regular customer. I always buy cocoa from her. I'm like, is it because he's a man that you are selling more plantain to him for 10 cedis than me? So yes, you men, you should go to save yourselves money. Really, I mean, it works for the home. I mean, this is great economy, home economics. If you go to the market, the women will just throw stuff at you. Than when we go, they don't respect us. They don't take us for anything when we go. So more of you men should be going so that they will throw all the things at you to help us to save the money. Yeah, and I wanted to just bring out, did you ever have to handle cravings? Like somebody wakes you up in the middle of the night to go and buy something for them or to cook something for them. Did you ever have to handle cravings? And was there ever a time you had to disappoint somebody because they probably wanted ice cream mixed with clay or something to eat and you said, Jack, this one is not going to work? And how did you handle those emotional times? Because women can get really emotional when we are pregnant. Nathan, you can. Nathan is talking.
Yes. So my wife keeps telling me that I'm lucky she didn't have those funny cravings that that a lot of people tend to have. But I mean, I can just remember maybe one or two situations where she had like that weird. I mean, I mean, out of nowhere, I want this from this place, and it happened just twice. And I really can't remember what meals they were, but for me, it didn't happen that much at all. And when she did have them, I think I did try. There was probably ones that maybe I failed, but it didn't happen that much for me, I must say. Maybe Sam might have, Mr. Ato might have an experience to share.
All right. I'm happy you didn't have too many emotions and cravings to handle because to disappoint a pregnant woman who have a heart set on ice cream mixed with clay that you cannot provide, you don't want to go there. Um, we've had a few comments and questions coming in, so I'll be throwing it in because we are almost at the end of our conversation. I'll be throwing it in as we go on. So some Paula says, listening to Nathan and Samuel, I'll say they are real definition of a kin and more. Woo! You guys, your wives will be really proud of you. In fact, I'm proud. I'm proud of you guys. It's like I feel so warm inside. It's like you're my husbands that you are doing this for me. I'm really, really proud of you guys and what you did. And I hope if you haven't finished the pregnancy journey, you will do it along the way every time as you did for the first one. So that Paula also supports me in saying that, Doc, tell them that we need their support for all the journeys. So Paula, they've heard you, and all the men out there have heard. They will support you for all the journey. Jewel wants me to ask, and Mr. Arthur, I wish you to take this question. Is it common practice to have your partner live with her parents towards the end of the journey, and is it advisable? I mean, this is something that was very common in the old days. We don't see so much of it these days, but it's still happening. Is it something that is advisable to have your partner live with her parents towards, and under which circumstances would that be cool?
So honestly, I believe it's one of the decisions that both partners will need to make. I remember on my part, I mentioned that, okay, so my family is out of the country, so my mom is not here. And so, and my wife's mom is still actively working in the Ghana Health Service. And so, and she lives far away in the Western region. So for us, as part of the conversation which we both had, we knew what the reality was for us. And so I know her mom saying to us, for instance, so definitely for us, we knew that it was not an option to move out of home to where her mom was, because that was quite a distance. And so what we mutually agreed was she could come into our home. She had mentioned she couldn't stay for the entire 3 months. She could stay for some time. And so it was a conversation we had, which we agreed on as partners. So I believe this is a decision both partners will need to make as to what works for both of you. For us, aside the fact that our parents were distant from where we lived, we also found it very important for the child to grow up in our home, where you have both parents around, you have the feel of the environment of the home. And so even though, for instance, her mom who was around in Ghana could say that, okay, because I am working, I cannot do the entire 3 months, we understood what that meant, that, you know what, we still couldn't move to her place. She needed to still come. Then we'll figure out how we can take care of the baby when she leaves. So it's about what the ideals of the partners is. And for us, what we agreed was, you know what, we want the child to grow in our home. We don't want the child to be somewhere and sees father only maybe during the weekends, or sees the father every month or every other week. It was quite important for us to really be close to each other. And one of the things that I honestly encourage as well is that as much as possible, as both parents are together with the child and nurture the child together, what happens is you both get to learn different things about this child. Because you don't want happening, oh, mommy saying that, oh, so the child is like this, or daddy saying that, oh, the child is like, but you're both there together. The other thing that it also helps to do is it helps when either partner is away, you both are able to help each other. One of the things that helped me to do is, now there are times my wife leaves home sometimes 5:30 a.m. And I take care of the kids, I bath them, I get them ready for school, I get them their breakfast. So I keep asking myself that, so if I hadn't done all of these things while we're together, I don't think I would have survived now. And so those are some of the benefits that you get to derive when you really are going through the motions of deciding as to whether you both must, baby plus mommy must go to where the grandma is, or they need to be in your home. So it's about what your ideals are and what works for both of you as well.
Can I be heard? Yes. For a little while there, I lost internet, so I didn't quite catch the end of what you were saying, Mr. Arthur. But I hope you can hear me now. So I'm so impressed with the submission that you made. I've thought about this. I have my own ideas about wives going to live with their parents or towards the end of pregnancy and having that putting to bed in their parents' house. I have my own, but I really, really identified with what you said when you talk about it should be a conversation between the two of you and see where your challenges are and where what should happen. So it just shouldn't be the wife getting up and deciding, I'm going to my mother's to have this baby, because the father is also part of it and he needs to also bond with his child at the beginning of that. So if the father wishes to have you and he's willing to help, I think yes, it's great that it's a conversation between you, or the man shouldn't decide you go to your mother's and have the baby because I can't do anything. So it should be a conversation between the two of you. And remember, whilst you're having this conversation, that the woman will be pregnant. Pregnant women are emotional, so emotions may be involved here. If you tell her, if you insist she should go, and then you talk about bringing the parents home as much as possible. I think that's the best. If you have the space, if you have the capacity to make it happen, then it's always better to let the parents, the mother, some father-in-laws are really great at this baby thing. It's amazing. The mother or the father come to the home rather. And you talk about having your children stay for to have your own values as a family. Because it's not, my mother is great. She brought me up. So you can imagine she's great. She instills some great values. But I have my own values and my husband to have his own values, that as a family we have a set of values that we want to inculcate into our children. And they are not necessarily what my mother had in that time. So as much as possible, I always want my kids to be with me. I remember There was a time I had to go to the UK for some course, 2 years, and I insisted on. Then I had 2 kids. I insisted on having these boys with me, and it was difficult. It was hard. Everybody was saying, "But you can't keep them. It's difficult. You can't make it." But I insisted, and they were with me. And however hard it is, we managed it. And that's it, because there were values I just wanted to put in them that I didn't think necessarily somebody else would be able to put in them. And then you made also the point about, so if somebody is not there, because the two of you have been together with the child at the beginning and you know how to take care of the child, you know what the child likes and what the child doesn't like. If one person is not there, the other can capably step into the shoes of the other person and do it. So for example, if your wife falls sick along the way, should she get up from her sick bed and be attending to this baby because you have no clue about how to take care of the baby? It's definitely something that you wouldn't want to happen. So when that happens, yes, then we will be able to take care of the child as well, because we've all been along this journey. I must say the two of you have been great. I've been listening to you. It's like I used to have some ideas about Ghanaian men. In fact, I was just advising some midwives on the ward to marry white men because they take better care of their women. But you people have just, Nathan and Samuel, you've just dispelled this thing I have in my head. You know, you've just totally rubbished it for me, and it's really great. Nathan, just a few last words. I'll come to you, Mr. Arthur. Just quickly, because we have very few minutes. Were there any challenges that you encountered during this support journey that you had for your wife? Just very, very few words.
Yes, so I think the challenges, and I think I mentioned them earlier, was just making sure that she was always covered, especially at the point where we lived alone. We lived by ourselves, and so if I wasn't available, we had to make sure she was covered. Or there were times where I had to turn down certain invitations just so that I'm able to stay at home with her. And then the other challenge was the fact that, yes, as a medical practitioner, you don't know everything, and there are sometimes you get stumped with some of the things that get presented. And, you know, everyone is looking at you like you should know this, but then you don't really know. And so those gaps in information and knowledge sometimes were a bit of a challenge, but then once you know how to look for help or seek help, you get it. So those were some of the things that readily come to mind for me to speak about. Thank you, Angela.
Just last words from you as well, Mr. Arthur. Last words from you as well. So I was just thinking, is there something you want to tell to your colleagues out there, your brethren out there, some of whom may be behaving like, yes, and Nathan mentioned something about men who do not go with their wives to the labor ward, and you go, and it's happening. I mean, yes, we are back. We are having a few internet challenges. I remember one time I got so sad in the labor ward. This woman came into labor all by herself. Her mother was not even there. And then when she came, she was told, you need to buy this and that. And so she called her husband. They said, I need to bring this and that. Can you bring it? And the husband said, I will send you Momo. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, so this woman who has come, who is about 5 cm, and she's laboring, and you are sending her Momo, where is she going to go to take the Momo money to come back to the labor ward? Can't you just leave and be with your wife? So, Samuel, what advice are you giving to these brethren of yours who are not behaving so well, who may be thinking they are not going to be so supportive because it's the woman who is pregnant, and they are the ones who are making me advise these young girls to marry white men? What advice would you give them?
So the advice I would give is probably one of the first things we spoke about from the beginning, which is that our responsibility as fathers goes beyond just planting the seed to really being supportive and being responsible throughout the pregnancy period and even after the pregnancy period when delivery happens. That's the first thing I really would want to talk about. Until we get to come to that place where we have that understanding, I wouldn't say we have any business thinking about even impregnating anybody. Because what we need to understand as fathers is that the little things we do in terms of what happens right from pregnancy even till after delivery goes a long way to even impact what happens in the future. I don't think it's by coincidence that there is really great bonding, for instance, between me and my boys. Because what happens is that it could just have been that okay, send the money, put them in good schools, but it goes beyond that. Parenting and fatherhood really goes beyond just making resources available. It also really includes making yourself available as well as a person. And so my encouragement really should be around the fact that in as much as certain times pregnancies may happen unplanned, even when pregnancies happen without a plan, have a plan as to how you're going to manage that pregnancy and afterwards. And where you have the chance to plan pregnancies, really have a good plan around it and know what it's going to cost you to be able to manage that and make sure you have everything on the plate that you have to make that happen. And so I want to encourage everybody that it is possible. Let's try to demystify fatherhood, parenting, pregnancy, as far as men are concerned, to know that, look, it's possible to be a great husband, to be a great father, to be a great partner as you go through this journey with your partner. It is work, but it really pays off in the end. So let's not run away from the responsibility. The little things you might think you do not know, but you can learn them. We all were not born knowing the things we do. There are things that we can learn. And that's why Angela has put together a great session like this where we get to really be able to interact, to talk about some of these so you can learn. And so let's not run away from that. So that would be my advice to my fellow brothers out there.
It's the nail on the head every time. When you say count the cost, one of my favorite things to say is count the cost, take up your cross and follow me, as Jesus said. So every situation you are going to go in, you need to count the cost. When you prepare to, do your jiggy jiggy, as somebody will put it, count the cost that it might end up in pregnancy, and are you really prepared to go that route? Supportive father even before your baby is born and after your baby is born. So if you haven't had that insight, then you are better off delaying it before it happens. And I have heard you. I will not push your Ghanaian sisters to white men. I've heard you. I know you've promised that our brethren are going to do better. Everybody is going to try and be like Nathan and Samuel. And Nathan and Samuel, I cannot thank you enough. You've made this first season of our we are having a baby, a wonderful child. And I know probably somewhere along the line, because we didn't exhaust all the things we wanted to talk about, we'll call you again to give us more insight. But it's been really fantastic having you two. And I thank you so much for sparing a bit of your Saturday evening to help us with this topic. Thank you so much. And to everyone out there, if you missed this session, so there's Nathan once again, and there's Mr. Arthur. Thank you so much. If you missed the session, don't forget. The video will be on all our handles: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, then Yahoo Facebook main page, and then We Are Having a Baby main page. Go and watch, put down your questions over there. I have Mr. Arthur's number, I have Nathan's number. I will call them and ask them. If need be, I'll ask them to record videos so that you see. Thank you all so much, and we will see you again in a month's time. Take care. Bye.